The following marketing information and discussion is provided for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as professional guidance or consultancy. You should find an agency for that. eMarketer's is a digital marketing agency, so feel free to hire us. But otherwise, just enjoy the show.
Hello everyone, welcome to The Buyer's Journey by eMarketer's, a discussion-based podcast on the ever-changing marketing landscape. I'm Matthew Margordy, the social media content producer here at eMarketer's.
I'm Len Ward, the managing partner at eMarketer's.
And I'm Josh Lyons, the digital marketing coordinator here at eMarketer's.
So today is Thursday, and on Thursday we talk about the retention phase of The Buyer's Journey. And the retention phase, for those who need a quick refresher, is when you are trying to retain a customer that either you actively have or had in the past. So oftentimes it's about keeping a customer on top of mind by sending them email updates, things like that. But if you have a subscription service or are offering some sort of app, for example, you want people to keep coming back and paying either for your subscription or, in the case of certain apps, coming back and gazing on the ads that you are hosting on your platform. And that is the case for Snapchat. At the end of the day, Snapchat is getting money from the amount of eyeballs that they can get on their ads in their app. And today's article is eMarketer's latest report. They're slashing Snapchat's growth forecast for 2019. And here are some of the reasons that they suggested. Following its unpopular design, Snapchat has been struggling to gain users in the US, and as a result, eMarketer is downgrading its growth outlook. For the first time, Snapchat will lose monthly US users this year, with growth expected to flatten in 2020. There's also a nice little chart that I am incredibly bad at reading these line charts.
Well, it's the...
No, I know what it is. It's just every time I see one. That's very much beside the point, folks. But there's a nice chart. You can check it out in the blog description, and you can kind of see where they're going with. So in 2019, Snapchat will have 77.5 million monthly US users, which is down 2.8% from last year. And this represents a significantly lower projection than eMarketer expected in its Q3 2018 forecast, which anticipated a 6.6% growth to 90.4 million monthly users this year. eMarketer forecasting analyst Shomek Potter, I apologize if I butchered your name, said that many users didn't like how stories and chats were mixed together in the confusing redesign that went into effect in late 2018 and was broadly available by early 2018. The backlash was so severe that Snapchat was forced to scale back some of its changes just a few months later. Once again, they mentioned that Snapchat growth will plateau in 2020, and between 2019 and 2023, eMarketer forecasts that Snapchat will only add 600,000 new US users. So we're going to get a little bit more into some of the things that are positive for Snapchat. As if you've listened to our podcast even just 2 days ago, we talked about some great things that Snapchat was doing with their new announcements. So we'll get into that in a second. But guys, what do we think about this?
So they're concerned about the monthly users going down, and there's 327 million people roughly in the United States. 12 to 17 is 7.7% of the population, which is 25 million. 18 to 24 is 30.6 million of the population, which is 9.4. Rounded up, it's going to give you about 17.1%. I would say and everybody knows how much I like eMarketer and what they're talking about, but they're lowering their growth forecast. Okay, that's fine, but that should have no impact on whether advertisers want to advertise there or if you're looking to invest in the stock. That's another podcast. But the fact is if they speak directly to the 13 to 24-year-old, which is exactly what the CEO just said a couple days ago on the podcast we did a couple days ago, his numbers are, if you look at where the demographics are, they're dominating for this audience right here. This is an audience that's going to continue to grow. So, okay, their growth forecast is coming down, but the numbers I'm looking at as an advertiser is, okay, great, that's down, but how much time are these individuals spending on the site? How much time are they interacting? And now, like you said, there's other platforms in which they're going to be on in which you can interact as well, or other users can maybe come in and take a look at stuff. To me, this is a report that I'm really, it's not affecting my advertising decisions in any way, shape, or form. It's good to look at, but it's also good for advertisers and companies who are in the marketing field. Stop looking at the growth forecast. Because if you start looking at the metrics of, again, 13 to 24-year-olds, which is what they're talking about, this is irrelevant, this report. Like, this report has no bearing. But it's good for us to bring it up and have a conversation about it, because some people will make advertising decisions saying, oh, well, the growth is slow, and so we're out of there. That's a very, very bad decision. With that all being said, I think when you do weight a marketing campaign, I do think Snapchat, the reality of the situation is, depending upon your marketplace, should not be any more than 15, at best 20% weighted on your ad dollars if your marketplace is 13 to 24. If you are above 24, I think your Snapchat investment should be under 10% at absolute best, and even that's a little high.
Okay. Yeah, I think you brought up a really good point, that growth forecasts by their nature have the potential to be inaccurate because they are making predictions. And while the predictions are very good and based on a lot of different numbers, there's always an opportunity for them to be incorrect, which is why eMarketer does often change their growth forecasts to be more accurate, definitely. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Len basically hit it completely, but just
Len home runned it.
I feel like he always does. But to sort of recap, I mean, it just brings on the whole, like, again, you're getting, better quality from your users rather than worrying about the number that's, it's increasing over time. So obviously, the more users, the better. You want as many people on the platform as possible. But if you're losing monthly users, but the users that are on the platform are interacting, they're buying things, they're using it for a longer period of time, then again, like Len said, it shouldn't matter that much that the growth forecast has it slowly decreasing, because you're still gaining quality people on the app that will continue to use it as time goes on and as they implement these new platforms and new add-ons to the app. So I don't think it really makes that big of a deal, but it's good to talk about.
Yeah, this reminds me of the conversation we had when we were discussing, it was on the podcast, we were discussing Facebook and how over 2 years they had lost, I think it was 800,000 users, might have been 600,000 users, but that marketers weren't worried. And I think, Len, you brought up a really good point of there is only so many people you can reach on social media platforms. And at the end of the day, while you wish you could reach them all, it's just not possible. But as it was with Facebook and as it is with Snapchat here, it's not like we're seeing a hemorrhaging of users leaving the app. Sometimes people just leave apps, they're no longer for them, something about them bothers them and they don't want to be a part of it, or the UI is a little confusing, something like that, right?
Or it's fake profiles or whatever.
Or it's fake profiles, et cetera, et cetera.
Like, so my question on what you're saying, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, you're good.
It's, what was the age group that left? I'll bet of the 6.2% that I'm looking here now that left, I'll bet it's probably could fall into my demographic, which is in the 40s. Yes, when Snapchat did make the change, I did find it a little more difficult. And the reality of it, while my job is to be on every social media platform, I am to the bare minimum to at least interact with it. Although WhatsApp I haven't been much on, as we talked about the other day. I really do use Snapchat, to communicate a lot with my kids. It's kind of because they like to Snapchat. But I would bet that the new user or the new integration, definitely the new design, I should say, definitely had people leave it. And you have to remember that there's so many fake profiles out there that are just shaved off, for whatever it may be, that I'd like to know again, what is the age group of the 6.2% that left? You may have to edit that. And how many were fake actual accounts? So, But
yeah,
anyway.
It's fair. One thing that eMarketer senior analyst Jasmine Enberg said that we kind of touched on the other day, which is that all the things that they're doing in the sense of expanding their portfolio is good for them in the long run. So for example, they're going to be including an in-app gaming platform, which will likely, or may improve rather, user engagement and time spent, particularly among the core young user base. And gaming also provides a new revenue stream for Snapchat that could boost its ad business in the future. So we'll have to see how that goes. And Jasmine also points out that increased competition from new and existing social platforms is partly to blame for Snapchat's decline in this way, which makes sense. I mean, TikTok has been popular for a while, but I mean, more recently, the last 6 to 12 months, we've seen it exponentially be booming. So at the end of the day, you know, not everybody's going to be using every single app ever, et cetera, et cetera. There are some interesting numbers that about Instagram specifically, that this year it will have 106.7 million US users, which is a 6.2% increase from 2018. And they are projecting that the Facebook-owned property will add nearly 19 million new US users by 2023. But we've talked in the past about how powerful and good Snapchat is, so we don't really need to go too much into that. Well, thank everybody for listening to today's episode of The Buyer's Journey. Check us out on Comexis.com, YouTube, and anywhere you get your podcasts, and follow us on Twitter at @buyers_journey. Thank you for listening.